Right?
Yeah.
Make it let's increase the generational diversity of this game. Let's make it more inclusive. Let's put us on the line too.
True. Okay. And I think that more people should incorporate this into their holidays, because why not spice up a good holiday?
Yeah, there is something to be said for taking Thanksgiving to the next level.
Oh.
Because I feel like it kind of has to at this point, because I'm always big on Thanksgiving. Doesn't get enough respect.
Oh, yes. My friends are like putting up, well, even here, they put up the Christmas decorations. I'm like, no.
Right.
Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday, and I kind of explained this in podcast with Bowen, but I'll do a brief explanation here. Essentially, I like the fact that like Thanksgiving and Christmas, when you break them down, tend to be the same in the fact that you're getting together with your family, you're sharing a meal, but to me, Christmas has gotten so like stressful and materialistic with the gifts, which is just kind of how society has worked. Mm-hmm. And so now I almost feel like I appreciate Thanksgiving more, because I think it's less pressure for people. There's not this huge focus on like a monetary aspect.
Right.
Which I love Christmas and giving like gifts as well. So that's why it's like hard for me to, just truly decide. But I think it's just more relaxed on Thanksgiving.
And more wholesome and genuine, I would argue.
Oh, yeah.
Because, good, bad, right, wrong, like, we should be careful, if we diss on Christmas too much, I'm sure we'll...
Oh, yeah, but, still give me gifts, obviously. Don't forget.
But, I think there is something to be said for when there's more focus on the people. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who loves feasting, when there's more focus on the food, that's a better holiday for me. Nick,
we know you can eat good. You can down food like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah. God, especially when I was 13, 14, man. I literally, when I was that age, if I literally wanted to, I think I literally just could have continuously ate. At that time, I would have, breakfast and then, school lunch where I would get seconds. And then, study hall vending machine snack. And then you get home from school, there's another snack. Then dinner. And then usually some sort of little dessert afterwards or something, too. I would eat like a king.
Jeez. Yeah, my metabolism could never. Yeah. But what do you think your life will look like in 5 years?
That is a good question. My thought is... for those who are not aware, I live in the Milwaukee area. I see myself still being in the Milwaukee area. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I actually own property at that point. I was even... after I graduated, I lived back home with my parents for, I think, about a year. Maybe a little bit short of a year. But, and I was trying to save up, hopefully, even to avoid renting altogether and get into my own house, my own property right away. Financially, that just seemed a little bit too difficult, and I kind of wanted to get my own place sooner rather than later. So that didn't materialize. So still in the Milwaukee area, got my own place, maybe something, real dream stuff, like maybe in the Story Hill neighborhood of Milwaukee where I can just casually walk to a Brewers game if I want to or something like that, right? But otherwise, still kind of mostly doing the things I'm doing right now. Obviously, hopefully we're beyond Rona. 5 years from now.
God, I fucking hope so.
I hope so. Spot of travel, this year was a good year for me in terms of getting into mountain biking. Spot of travel, spot of mountain biking, spot of video gaming, and, still hitting up breweries and such. So, maybe this is a really long-winded answer of saying not too much changing. I think I'm just happy with where I'm at, what I'm doing, and for now, I want to keep doing it. Hopefully not, here's the one thing I will say. 28, darn near 29 at this point, but probably not having a kid or gotten married yet. Maybe gotten married, but probably not having a kid yet. Maybe that's a 30 thing.
Yeah, I would agree. So my next question is, what do you think my life will look like in 5 years?
That's a good question. If I had to put money on it, I think you'll end back up in the Milwaukee area.
In 5 years, I'll still be in Milwaukee, you think?
I think so. Because one thing that's surprised me is, if you had told me when I was going off to college which of the two of us was going to have... And how do I phrase this in a way that doesn't sound wrong? Because it's not like I didn't love home and I didn't love my parents, right? But I think you miss home more than I did. I see you get a little bit sadder when you have to, you come visit home, and then when you go to leave, I see you get a little bit sadder about it than I did. And so I think you're maybe a little bit more, and again, how do I phrase this in a way? Because I don't want to make it look like I don't care about my family or whatnot, right? But I think those ties, you need that closer distance to family and home a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I would see you still, or, being back in the Milwaukee area. And, you'd be 27. I don't know. Probably I could see you probably still would want to be renting. I don't know where you would live, though. I could maybe see you doing an East Side, deal like our parents did, living in the East Side. And
so you think I'm hip, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I thought I thought that was well known at this point.
Oh, thank God. Just clarifying, of course.
And maybe that's the better way to describe it. Is you're living in an apartment, Milwaukee, somewhere hip, somewhere kind of close to the city. Maybe not like me where I'm living in Wauwatosa.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere closer and more city-like than that. And just kind of doing it. I don't know what kind of hobbies you'll be doing. I don't know if I can project that, but you'll be a young professional and making the most of your 20s, I'm sure.
Thank you, Nick. So optimistic of me. Hopefully I'm not living in a box. That's my only
I think you can do better than that.
Yeah.
I think
I could have an apartment and a nice life.
People do be doing that sometimes.
Hopefully. So I thought we would get into dating a little bit.
Sure.
So what is the worst first date you've ever had?
I've been pretty fortunate to not have any really bad dates. Partially because I don't know if, relatively speaking, I have ever done that much dating. Relatively speaking. So worst first date was... Let me precede this by saying, unfortunately for our listeners, I don't know if I can give any juicy, truly bad ones.
Yeah.
But there was one girl, and we just did like a cooking date at her apartment. She kind of did some cooking, and not that it was bad, and she was nice, but I think I just kind of realized midway through the date, I was like, I see this as more of a friendship thing than a romantically involved thing. And I was kind of just wondering, like, it just didn't feel like it was really that energy you need, right? That connection you need. It didn't feel like it was there. But then I was socially awkward penguin enough to not, like, she was, like, mid-cooking a meal, right? I wasn't going to, like, well, while you're halfway through putting in all this effort, I'm just going to, peace out, right? So, it was a little bit awkward in the sense of, kind of sticking around and trying to make nice conversation and trying to not make it too obvious that I've maybe already kind of made my decision, So that would probably be my worst first date. But again, fortunately, in the grand scheme of all the things that could happen, like, that's still a pretty decent date.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Right, I would agree. Okay, so I don't really bring boys around the house, but, so this is really a shot in the dark here, but what do you think, like, my type is from what you've, like, gathered?
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult because, I do think you do keep a good degree of separation between family and your romantic life.
None of them have been good enough for any of you to meet, so why bring them around,
Harsh.
It is harsh, but do you know what I'm saying? I would have, if they were good, one, I'd probably have a boyfriend right now, and two, you know who they are.
Right, yeah, you don't want to set the wrong idea with your family.
Yeah.
That's fair.
They've all been pretty much douchebags, so pretty much.
Yeah, and so to your type, I mean, I would imagine you need somebody, my mom joked about, right, when she was on the podcast, somebody taller.
Yeah.
But a comforting physical presence.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see you being interested in a guy who's, like, maybe more like me, like, real slim. Like, I think you need somebody maybe a little bit more little bit more meat on their bones, a little bit taller, and, just a little bit more, presence to them, right?
Yeah.
And then definitely, I couldn't see you being, like, the opposites attract, like, you go with the real quiet, shy guy. Like, I couldn't see you with that. I think you'd need somebody with, I think you need, I don't want to say a battling personality, but you need somebody that can kind of match that energy where it, it nicely bounces off each other, right? I don't see you being in a relationship where you're the only one driving, the conversation or the excitement or, all that. So, and I feel like when I do hear about dudes you're dating, I feel like they're always a little bit older.
Yeah.
So I think that in a nutshell is what I think your type is.
Okay, that's pretty accurate. I feel like where I get in trouble is the, like, battling personality, because that can be, like, good or bad, And, like, those guys tend to, because they are so outgoing, they tend to, like, get a lot of attention from other girls, which I think is what gets me in the pickle,
And it's hard to tell at first or through just one or two dates, like for lack of a better word, the goodness of where somebody's personality, boisterous personality is coming from. Because is it just, they're just genuinely like that, but they're still genuinely a good person underneath?
Yeah.
Or, is it they're maybe kind of a bit of a player or a bit self-centered? Or sometimes that can take a while to figure out. So that can be tough.
This is just a random question that I thought of, but so in the, like, it could be dating, it could be in general, but has anybody ever, like, come up to you and told, like, not talk shit, but, like, been like, oh, did you know your sister was doing X, Y, and Z, or anything like that?
I mean, definitely, yeah. I don't know if in any, like, juicy, bad ways, but, like, obviously my girlfriend and I think a couple of my buddies are on your private story, and, I occasionally get, just word of mouth about, silly, wild things you're doing, but nothing that ever concerns me.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
Sometimes as a brother I go, oh, wish I didn't know that about my sister, but also, also you're an adult and you're a college student and you have the right to do the adult and college student things that I do, that I'm sure there's some things I do and have done that you wouldn't want to hear about. You'd be like, oh, if you heard about that too.
Yeah.
So, I occasionally hear about it, through word of mouth, but I don't think anything has ever been told to me that you would be horrified to know I've been told.
Yeah.
And nothing that alarms me either.
Oh, fabulous to know. Okay, so did you use, like, dating apps, or did you just kind of go old-fashioned?
I used Tinder for a little bit. Pretty short and lackluster experience. Maybe it was just the girls that I would match with, but in my opinion, Tinder, people don't use it genuinely to date. And maybe to my fault to a degree, maybe I was just a little bit too quick to want to try and meet up in person. But I feel like anytime I would match with somebody, I'd exchange a few messages, and if it seemed like, they had some personality to them, right, as long as they weren't giving me, like, one-word answers, I'd plan some sort of just fun, casual first date, and you always talk about on this podcast a lot, no, I wouldn't plan Netflix and chills, like a genuine date.
Yeah.
And I would try to do something where I'd be like, okay, this is something where it's comfortable for you to meet a stranger, right? I would try to make it during the day, maybe somewhere where we can be outside, oh, let's go get some ice cream at Chocolate Chop or something like that, right? But unfortunately, what my experience ended up being is it would always fade out, any match I got, as soon as I tried to meet up in person. It seemed like nobody wanted to actually. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. Maybe I was putting off the wrong vibe or something. To be fair, I don't want to put all the blame on the ladies in this situation. But I never found anybody who it seemed like they really wanted to date. It just seemed like they wanted maybe the reaffirmment of getting a match and maybe just a little conversation to get them by.
Yeah, I honestly, like, that kind of hit the nail on the head for me, because it almost feels like people have these dating apps more to, like, feed their ego, especially Tinder. Like,
yes.
Although I do have a couple friends who, like, met people on, like, Bumble and Hinge that they met boyfriend, girlfriend on that. So maybe those are different. But I do agree, like, it feels like people are swiping and whatever, and they want to get a lot of swipes so they feel good about themselves. But, like,
nobody's actually trying to date.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
And maybe that was part of my mistake, too, was only using Tinder. Like, at the time of, I don't think Hinge was around when, this would have been pre my current girlfriend.